I seal both sides of my work. That helps make sure that as it dries or it's in changing temperature or moisture conditions, that that drying is occurring evenly. Because otherwise, if I haven't sealed the bottom and it dries out more than the top, then my wood is going to change its shape. It's at risk for cupping or bowing or warping in unplanned ways that we don't like. So our seal coat, we just put that on just real thin, unless it's a softer piece of wood and it's soaking up all the epoxy, and well, then I've got this thinned with a little bit of alcohol. If it's doing that, we might want to do multiple coats so that we don't have air pockets expressing themselves into bubbles when you pour your finish coat. And so I'm gonna fill these voids using a pipette, like a little eyedropper, with some colored epoxy just to make it prettier. But before I fill them, I'm gonna seal both sides. And I do that because otherwise the colors are gonna soak in and the epoxy is gonna soak in from this void and make sort of a stain around the edge of it. And then I'm gonna lose the definition that I get with the nice cracks that follow unpredictable patterns, and well, it just looks kind of sloppy, I think. So I'll seal it, I'll tape it, I'll fill those voids. It will probably take filling them and then waiting and letting it settle down and then filling it again and then waiting and letting it settle down and then filling it again. And if the colors go outside of the lines, I might go back and sand it back down again, which means I'm then going to seal it again before I do my final pour over the top. So that's how we seal wood that's not real porous. Another time I'll show you what happens when we're trying to seal wood that is very porous and dried out. And I'm also going to take my foam brush here, and I like to keep some of the bark on the outside for that natural live edge look. So I'm trying to just dab it in there because I don't really want the drips hanging down from the edge, because I'll have to chip or sand those off before I do my final pour. They'll make sort of big lumps on that surface up there. So sometimes I mess that up a little bit and have to go back and do a little more work, but that's the way it goes. When you have a vision and you're trying to make something beautiful, you're willing to do the extra work and take those extra steps. But yeah, as I soak this in, these parts that are more papery, whoops, I brushed it before to try to get it fairly clean and get those softer parts gone. But this is going to soak into that bark, and it's going to be hardened. So it might get knocked off, but even if a little bit does while it's in use, that's okay, because it's all a natural live looking edge anyways. All right, so I'm just going to get it in there like that, and I can go back over with my MAP gas torch, because there's going to be kind of a little foam sometimes. I don't know if you can see it there. The MAP gas will help pop those bubbles and eliminate the foam, so you're not seeing it on your finished work later. So there you have it. And on my bigger pieces, a lot of times I'm saving the bark on the outside. Again, you know, if you soak this with the epoxy, it's gonna harden it up pretty good, and it looks pretty and shiny and turns nice and dark, which makes a good border to help define your work.